योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्।
Namaste, one and all over here. I am Dr. Meenal Nawal, Principal KMP Government Law College, Rajkot. First, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi, Professor and Director of UGC HRDC, Gujarat University, for giving me this opportunity to present my thoughts and knowledge in regards to right to health and Indian Constitution judicial approach. As we all know that he is a very dynamic personality and Mr. Joshi has taken many initiatives to take the faculty fraternity in the education sector as human resources development. Friends, the first ever online short-term course on e-content development during lockdown and unlock 1, more than 130 courses with about 5,000 participants are from across the country. It's a great achievement. HRDC GU is coordinating the online e-content creation training for all the professors at the colleges and universities of Gujarat along with Department of Higher Education, Commissionerate of Higher Education and KCG in 2020. Again, I would like to thank you, Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi, and also Professor Dr. Bhavesh Barad, coordinator of this refresher course. Today, we are going to discuss on right to health and Indian Constitution judicial approach. Right to health is not intended as an explicit fundamental right in the Indian Constitution. Most provisions related to health are in Part 4, Directive Principle of State Policy. Before going to Part 3 and Part 4 of the Constitution, I would like to talk about Constitution of the World Health Organization. Uh, the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without discrimination of race, religion, political belief, economic or social condition. Uh, in our constitution, we have right to health as a fundamental right. In part 3 and part 4, directive principle of state policy. Uh, According to World Health Organization definition of health, uh, health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being and not merely the absence of disease. So friends, what is health? Uh, in one word, we can say health is energy, strength, well-being, fitness, healthiness, stamina, complexion, etc. Uh, no one should get sick and die. The right to health, meaning the right to health for all people means that everyone should have access to the health services they need when and where they need them without suffering financial hardship. Next, no one should get sick and die just because they are poor or because they cannot access the health service they need. Good health is also clearly determined by other basic human rights, including access to safe drinking water and sanitation, nutrition, foods, adequate housing, education, and safe working conditions. The right to health also means that everyone should be entitled to control their own health and body, including having access to sexual and reproductive information and services free from violation and discrimination. Everyone has sorry, everyone has the right to privacy and to be treated with respect and dignity. Nobody should be subjected to medical experimentation, post-medical examination, or given treatment without informed consent. Friends, health is the most important factor in national development. It is a condition of a person's physical and mental state and signifies freedom from any disease or pain. Right to health is a vital right without which none can exercise one's basic human rights. There are various provisions under the Constitution of India which deals with the health of the public at large. The founding fathers of Indian Constitution rightly inserted directive principles of state policy with a view to protect the health of public at large. The main source of law in our country is the Constitution, which itself provides for health care of the people. The preamble to our Constitution serves the following two purposes. One is it indicates the source from which the Constitution derives its authority. Second is it also states the objects which Constitution seeks to establish and promote. Sorry, the goals and objectives of the Indian polity as stated in the preamble are sought to be further clarified, strengthened, and concretized through the directive principle of the state policy. Here, the part 3 and part 5, part 4 of the Constitution containing fundamental rights and directive principle is stated to reach the goals set in the preamble. We will see how right to health as a fundamental right is engrafted under the Indian Constitution to fulfill the goals set out in the preamble. Constitutional provisions with regarding to right to health. Uh, there are part 3 in the part 3 fundamental rights and in part 4 directive principles of state policy. Article 21, Article 23, Article 24. These are the fundamental rights with regarding to right, provisions regarding to health and Article 38, Article 39E and F, Article 42, Article 43, Article 46 and Article 48. These are the directive principle of state policy regarding to right to health. Uh, Article 21. First, I would like to discuss about Article 21. Article 21 states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. This article has been interpreted in the widest possible manner so as it includes a variety of fundamental rights, including right to health. Justice Bhagwati has observed in Francis Corali, a well-known case, Francis Corali versus Delhi, is a landmark judgment regarding health. We think that the right to life includes the right to life with dignity, right to life with human dignity, and all that goes along with it, namely the bare necessaries of life, such as adequate nutrition, namely the bare necessaries of life, such as adequate nutrition, clothing, and shelter over the head, and facilities for reading, writing, and expressing oneself in diverse forms, freely moving about and mixing and commingling with fellow human beings. Next slide. In Kantishwar Builders versus Narayan Kimlal Kotam, uh, in this case, the Supreme Court has observed the right to life under Article 21 would include the right of food, clothing, decent environment, and reasonable accommodation to life in suitable accommodation which allows him to grow in all aspects physical, mental, and intellectual. The concept of life has been interpreted in a very expansive manner so as to include a number of rights. Uh, as a result of expansion of the scope of Article 21, the public interest litigation in respect of children in jail being entitled to special protection, health hazards due to pollution and harmful drugs, housing for beggars, immediate medical aid to injured persons, starvation death, the right to know, the right to open trial in human conditions in aftercare home have found place under it. The various judgments, the apex court also included many of the non-justiciable directive principles embodied under Part 4 of the Constitution as justifiable, like right to pollution-free water and air, right to every child to a full development, maintenance and improvement of public health, maintaining hygienic conditions in the slaughterhouse. Uh, Article 23. Article 23, subclause 1, prohibits traffic in human beings. It is well known that traffic in women leads to prostitution, which in turn is a major factor in spread of AIDS. Supreme Court has also in several cases interpreted forced labor in an expansive form. Article 23 of our Constitution prohibits traffic in human beings, beggar, and forced labor. The article protects the individual not only against the state but also against the private citizens. The term beggar means compulsory work without any payment. No payment for beggars. Traffic in human beings cannot buying and selling of human beings as if they are cattle. Such practice is now totally abolished by our constitution as it has a direct effect on the health of human beings. Human beings involved in trafficking have a very high risk of communicating sexually transmitted disease. The Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956 has been passed to the effect in order to punish brothel keepers and middlemen. Forced labor, as contemplated under this article, is in the nature of either trafficking human beings or beggar. Forced labor is prohibited under the Constitution and several laws have been implemented to the effect like the Minimum Wages Act 1948 where the employer is bound to pay minimum wages. Next, the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970 to abolish certain malpractice in contract labor systems. Again, the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976, which strikes out the system of bonded labor. People's Union for Rights versus Union of India. The first of the case relating to bonded labor is the Asiad case, People's Union for Fight Rights. We call, we all know People's Union for Rights versus Union of India is known as the Asiad case, where the court held that bonded labor is violative of human dignity and is contrary to the basic human values, the court insisted to abolish all forms of forced labor within the inhibition of Article 23 and made no difference whether the person who is forced to give his labor or service to another is remunerated or not. In Bandhua Mukti Morcha case, uh, is another landmark case regarding bonded labor. In this case, prohibiting bonded labor by way of public interest litigation. In this case, a large number of laborers were working in stone quarries in the state of Haryana under inhuman conditions. The court took cognizance of the complaints of the workmen like no provision of pure drinking water, non-provision of conservancy facilities, absence of medical facilities, etc. and gave direction to the state authorities to remove these complaints and provided the necessary facilities to them. Fundamental rights, Article 24. Article 24 is relating to child labor. It states that no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engage in any other hazardous employment. Article 24 puts a partial restriction on employment of child labor. It lays down that child below the age of 14 years shall not be employed to work in any factory or engage in any other hazardous employment. It has been held a shared case that construction work is hazardous employment and so no child below 14 should be allowed to work in construction work. The same principle was reiterated in the case of laborers working on Salal Hydro project versus state of Jammu and Kashmir, where the court directed the central government to enforce these prohibitions. In this case, the court observed that the problem of child labor is a difficult problem and so an attempt has to be made to reduce, if not eliminate, the incidence of child labor. Uh, again, in the case of Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus Union of India, the court dealt with the question employment of children in carpet industry in the state of Uttar Pradesh. After referring to Article 24 and the directive principle, the court observed that the state should provide facilities and opportunities as enjoyed under Article 39E and 39F of the Constitution and to prevent exploitation of their childhood due to indigence and vagrancy. Several labor legislation like the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, the Plantation Labor Act 1951, etc. have been passed to give effect to these articles. All these legislations prohibit labor of persons below 14 years of age. The Employment of Children Act 1938 was the first among the child labor legislation uh, to regulate the employment of children. The act was repealed by the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, which specifies in its schedule certain occupations, and process where employment of children is prohibited. A very recent initiative made by a notification issued by the government of India is the prohibition of child labor even in a small hotels, restaurants, shops, dhabas uh, below the age as prescribed in this direction. Uh, Article 36 to 51 contains the directive principle of state policy. You all know about Article 36 to 51. India is a welfare state which seeks to promote the prosperity and well-being of the people. The directive principles lay down some socio-economic goals which the various governments in India have to strive to achieve. These principles obligate the state to take positive action in certain direction to promote the welfare of the people and achieve economic democracy. They give direction to the legislature and the executive in India as regards the manner in which they should exercise their power. Article 37 specifically states the provisions contained in this part shall not be enforceable by any court, but the principles therein laid down are nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Now we are going on directive principles of state policy, Article 37. We already discussed Article 37. Article 38 impose liability on state that state secure a social order for the promotion of welfare of the people. Article 39E related with workers to protect their health. The Supreme Court has shown a great concern for the children and in its various uh, decision has protected the welfare of the children. In Lakshmikant Pandey versus Union of India, AIR 1984, the court emphasized that the welfare of the entire community depends on the health and welfare of its children. In Vishaljit versus Union of India, AIR 1990, uh, public interest litigation was brought for the child prostitution. The court referred to Article 23, 39E and F and gave several directions urging upon the various governments to take further remedial action in the matter. The Parliament has also enacted the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956, which aims at suppressing the evil of prostitution. The Juvenile Justice Act, Care and Protection Act 2000, which lays down several provisions for the children and conflict with laws and for the child in need of care and protection. Directive Principles and Right to Health, Article 41. Article 41 impose duty on state to public assistance, basically for those who are sick and disabled. Article 42, a primary responsibility of the state to protect the health of infant and mother by maternity benefit. Article 47 spell out the duty of the state to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living of its people as primary responsibility. Primary responsibility. Uh, we are going on Article 41 in depth. Article 41 requires the state within the limits of its economic capacity and development to make effective provisions for securing the right to work, to education, and to public assistance in cases of unemployment, old age, sickness, and disablement, and in other cases of underserved want, undeserved want. Uh, it has been held in the case of Samir Das Gupta versus State of Bihar that education includes medical education. If medical education is provided to the people, then the health of the country will be obviously good. The main hurdle in this article is words within the limits of its economic capacity, by which the state government often get a course not fulfill these obligations. Article 42 requires the state to make provisions for securing just and human conditions of work and for maternity relief. India has a large number of population working as laborers, and several legislations have been passed in order to give effect to Article 42. The Maternity Benefit Act 1961 is one of them, which give the women workers relief during and after pregnancy. So, friends, we are going on Article 43. Article 43 requires the state to endeavor to secure by suitable legislation, our suitable legislation or economic organization or in any other way to all workers, agricultural, industrial, or otherwise work, living wages, conditions of work, ensuring a decent standard of life, and full employment of leisure and social and cultural opportunities. A living wage is a wage which enables the earner to provide for himself and his family not merely the essential of food, clothing, and shelter, but a measure of frugal comfort, including education for children, protection against ill health, requirements of essential social needs, and a measure of insurance against the more important misfortune, including old age. The Minimum Wages Act 1948 is a legislation put forth to give life to the words of Article 43. A well-known socialist, Mr. M.C. Mehta, filed a number of public interest litigations for the protection of environment and health. M.C. Mehta is a one of well-known advocate. The court has, in the case of MC Mehta versus Union of India, has said Article 39E, 47 and 48A by themselves and collectively cast a duty on the state to secure the health of the people, improve public health and protect and improve the environment. Article 48A obligates the states to endeavor the protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. Various environment laws have been passed to the effect like the Environment Protection Act 1986, Air Act 1981, Water Act 1974, and so on. Uh, Reading Articles 21, 38, 42, 43, 46, and 48 together, the Supreme Court has concluded in Consumer Education and Research Center versus Union of India that right to health, medical aid to protect the health and vigor of a worker while in service or post retirement is fundamental right. to make the life of workmen meaningful and purposeful with dignity of persons. The Supreme Court in this case dilated the theme of social justice envisioned in the preamble and Article 38. It said social justice is the arc of the Constitution, which ensures a life to be meaningful and livable with human dignity. It is a dynamic device to mitigate the suffering of the poor, weak, Dalits, tribals, and the deprived section of the society and elevate them to the level of equality to life, a life with dignity of a person. It further held that health of the worker enables them to enjoy the fruit of his labor, keeping him physically fit and mentally alert for leading a successful life economically, socially, and culturally. Sorry. Medical facilities to protect the health of the workers are therefore the fundamental and human rights of the man. Our parliament, the highest political institution in the country, has always been energetic to meet the needs of the changing society. Due to urbanization and industrialization, the social patterns of the people are rapidly changing. The most important part is that with the changing society, the law needs to be changed, protecting the interest of the disadvantaged groups and the weaker sections. The Indian Parliament has done much to improve the social patterns of citizens by enacting social welfare legislation. These legislations are framed in order to achieve the goals set in our constitution. The different legislations have been made in order to protect different groups of people like women, children, workers, etc. Apart from the goals laid down in our constitution, it also provides for a variety of fundamental rights. Health being one of the most important fundamental rights need extra protection by specific legislation. Our constitution also protection, our constitution also requires the state to ensure health and nutritional well-being of all people. Before independence, the healthcare sector was in dismal condition. Sorry, as the number of mortality rate owing to disease was high. But since independence, the main emphasis has been the healthcare sector. This has been made possible by enacting various legislation. There are plethora of laws in India which directly or indirectly deals with different aspects related to human health, like environmental laws, criminal laws, food-related laws, medical laws, women-related laws, children and health laws, occupational laws, consumer protection laws, etc. Uh, The Indian Penal Code and the Code of Criminal Procedure are criminal law related with health. Uh, its various provisions protect the health of the people. We all know in IPC and also in CRPC there are so many provisions regarding health. It's a procedural law and also punishment provisions are there. But here we are not discussed in depth. Environment protection laws and health. In 1986, the Environment Protection Act was passed, which authorized the central government to protect and improve environmental quality, control and reduce pollution from all sources, and prohibit or restrict the setting and or operation of any industrial facility on environmental grounds. The Environment Protection Act 1986 is the umbrella act of all environmental legislation. It was brought to prominence after the Bhopal gas tragedy as legal redress to people affected by environmental problems. The Environment Protection Act focuses on the population's general treatment of the environment in India. Legislation in India dealing with health law. There are so many legislation in India dealing with health. Uh, the Consumer Protection Act 2019, the National Medical Commission Act 2019, the Prohibition of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. These are all the legislation in India dealing with health. Most of the Transplantation of Human Organ Act 1994, the Epidemic Disease Act 1897. See, the act is enacted in 1897, but at present we in during Corona we used most of these act. The Epidemic Disease Act 1897, Mental Health Act 1987, the Environment Protection Act 1986, the Pharmacy Act 1948, the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, the Indian Penal Code, the Code of Criminal Procedure, Employees State Insurance Act, the Factories Act, uh, Consumer law applicable to health services, the Consumer Protection Act 1986, now it's in 2019. The preamble of the act states an act to provide for better protection of interests of consumers and for that purpose to make provisions for the establishment of consumer councils and other authorities for the settlements of consumer disputes, settlements of consumers disputes and matters connected therewith. Already there are several legislation for the protection of consumer like the Drugs Control Act 1950, Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, Essential Commodities Act 1955 and so on. But the act mainly focuses for the better protection of consumer and consumer justice. The Act applies to all goods and services in private, public or cooperative sector. The term services are made to include services provided by doctors. This is now very well settled by the Supreme Court in case of Indian Medical Association versus VP Samta. Hence, doctors rendering services are all covered under the Act. Only those services which are provided free of charge are exempted from this Act. Other legislation in India dealing with health law. The Maternity Benefit Act 1961, the Mines Act 1952, the Plantation Labor Act 1951, Workmen Compensation Act 1923, uh, Preconception and Prenatal Diagnosis Techniques Regulation and Prevention of Misuse Act 1994, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, the infant milk substitutes feeding bottles and infant foods uh, regulation of production, supply and distribution act 1992. The Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2000, already we discussed about this act. The Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, the Persons with Disabilities Equal Opportunities Protection of Rights and Full Participation Act 1955, the National Trust for Welfare of Persons with uh, Autism, Cerebral Palsy, mental retardation, and multiple disabilities Act 1999. This was one of the first instances where the Supreme Court went on to merge the non-justiciable directive principles of state policy with fundamental rights. The case adjudicated on the deplorable condition in a mental hospital in Ranchi and was filed in the form of a later petition under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. COVID-19 pandemic and right to health. The COVID-19 pandemic and the health crisis created by it have highlighted the need for legislation that enforces the right to health as justiciable right. Right now, we do have a right to health as an implied right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Judicial precedents on right to health in India. The jurisprudence with respect to the right to health can be traced back to 1989. The Supreme Court in the case of Rakesh Chandra Narayan 1989 AIR 348 held that the government has an obligation to ensure that medical attention is provided to every citizen in the country. In one another case, the Supreme Court uh, decided Vishaljit versus Union of India in AIR 1990. In this case, a public interest litigation was brought for the child prostitution. The court referred to Articles 23, 39E and F and gave several directions urging upon the various governments to take further remedial action in the matter. After this, uh, one another case, in this case, the Supreme Court reading Article 21 and 47 together has observed that, sorry, uh, the Supreme Court observed that maintenance and improvement of public health have to rank high as these are indispensable to the very physical existence of the community, and on the betterment of these depends the building of the society of which the constitution makers envisage. Attending to public health, in our opinion, therefore is of high priority, perhaps the one of the top. Paschim Banga Khet Mazdoor Samiti AIR 1996. In this case, the Supreme Court has observed that it is the constitutional obligation of the state to provide adequate medical services to the people. Whatever is necessary for this purpose has to be done. The court further observed, providing adequate medical facilities for the people is an essential part of the obligations undertaken by the government in a welfare state. The government discharges these obligations by running hospitals and health centers, which provide medical care to the person seeking to avail of those facilities. The government hospitals run by the state are duty bound to extend medical assistance for preserving human life. Failure on the part of a government hospital to provide timely medical treatment to a person in need of a such treatment result in violation of his right to life guaranteed under Article 21. The court made certain additional direction in respect of serious medical cases. Adequate facilities are provided at the public health centers where the patient can be given basic treatment and his condition stabilized. Hospitals at the district and sub-divisional level should be upgraded so that serious cases be treated there. Facilities for given specialized treatment should be increased and having regard to the growing needs, it must be made available at the district and sub-divisional uh, level hospitals. Proper arrangement of ambulances should be made for transport of patients from the public health center to the state hospitals. Ambulances should be adequately provided with necessary equipment and medical personnel. In the Supreme Court has observed in one another case, Samsishar Builders versus Narayan Himlal, in the Supreme Court has observed the right to life under Article 21 would include the right of food, clothing, decent environment, and reasonable accommodation to live in. Suitable accommodation which allows him to grow in all aspects physical, mental, and intellectual. Hence, the concept of life has been interpreted in a very expensive manner so as to include a number of rights. In further held that health of worker enables them to enjoy the fruit of his labor, keeping him physically fit and mentally alert for leading a successful life economically, socially, and culturally. Consumer Education and Research Center versus Union of India, AIR 1995. In this case, it was held that right to health, medical aid to protect the health and vigor of worker while in service or post-retirement is fundamental right. To make the life of the workman meaningful and purposeful with dignity of person. The Supreme Court in this case dilated the theme of social justice envisioned in the preamble and also in the Article 38. Consumer Education and Research Center versus Union of India, AIR 1995. In this case, social justice is the art of the constitution which ensured life to be meaningful and livable with human dignity. It is a dynamic device to mitigate the suffering of the poor, weak, Dalits, tribals and the deprived sections of the society and to elevate them to the level of equality to uh, life of life with dignity of a person. In one another case, Pankaj Sinha versus Union of India AIR 2018. In this particular case, the Supreme Court issued important directions regarding leprosy patients to the Union and states. In Arjun Gopal versus Union of India, uh, AIR 2018, Supreme Court 5194. In this case, dealing with the issue of pollution caused by burning firecrackers, the court issued the following specific directives. Implementation of the crackers with reduced emission, improved crackers and green crackers as suggested by CSIR, NEERI, PESO and CPCB. Ban on production and sale of crackers other than those mentioned in suggestions as aforesaid. The sale only through licensed traders. Now we are going on concluding remarks. For achieving the constitutional obligation and also objectives of healthcare for all, there is a need on the part of the government to mobilize non-governmental uh, organizations and the general public towards their participation for monitoring and implementation of healthcare facilities. Uh, the right to health in India will need to be implemented within the framework of principles of solidarity, uh, proportionality, and transparency that are central to international human rights. It is time now, it is the time India declared the right to health a fundamental right. Strong health laws will help build societal resilience to further pandemic and public health emergency. We have our constitution in part 3 and part 4 as a fundamental right. In our constitution we have a right to health as a fundamental right, and uh, in part 3 and part 4. So it's a time to India declare the right to health a fundamental right. Strong health laws will help build societal resilience to future pandemics and public health emergencies. Thank you very much to all of you. Again, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity and uh, uh, opportunity to share my view with you all guys. Thank you again, uh, Dr. Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi and also Professor Dr. Bhavesh Barad. Thank you very much.